It's the starting lineup. Kip Keefer, Tony Curry, the legend, and Case Keefer bring it every week.
The coaches don't like what's going on.
Fellas, wow. Congratulations.
Weather is of universal appeal. It affects you and everybody watching.
Because you're real, legend. You're authentic. You've lived it.
You never know who's going to be in the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning. Good morning. Welcome to another rousing rendition of the starting lineup. It's on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock. And, of course, that means that we're going to be butting up against that SEC on ABC football game in less than 100 days coming up this football season. But we always love to have special guests, and you have brought a very special guest this week, Kip.
Yeah, I'm proud to bring to the show today Brent Pinkston, who is the COO of PCI Gaming, who has recently acquired the Birmingham Racecourse Casino after 33 years with the McGregor family and charting a course for a major attraction in Birmingham. But we wanted to get Brent on the show today and talk about some of the plans and some of the ideas of what's going on. So without further ado, welcome. You're in the starting lineup, Brent. Your career has reached its pinnacle.
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing great. I think we wanted to get you on and just kind of talk about first of all, I think most people watching, I know I was surprised. I knew that the Poarch Band of Creek Indians tribe was very active in the gaming business, but I had no idea until reviewing your all's application to come on board here how much that the tribe based out of Atmore, Alabama, has become not only a national but an international force in the gaming business. Talk about a little bit of the expansion and tell people where you have facilities, because I think a lot of people know about Wind Creek and Wetumpka and the facilities that you established in Alabama, and now of course here in Birmingham. But before we talk about Birmingham specifically, give people a rundown of how all that's come to be and how this rapid expansion has taken place.
Wow, I've been here in Alabama for about 17 years, and it's been quite a ride. Right now I'm in Atmore in my office, and which used to be a cotton field and now is Wind Creek Atmore, which everybody kind of knows, and was kind of the first big venture in for the tribe, and now we're obviously most of your viewers probably know Montgomery and Wetumpka as well, but we own the dog track in Mobile as well as Pensacola. We own a horse track outside of Tallahassee, Florida. Then our major ventures outside of the southeast, we purchased the Sands Bethlehem, which was just about 2 hours outside of New York City. It's probably our largest facility, and it's about an hour north of Philly. Then we purchased 2 properties in the Caribbean, in Aruba and Curacao. So many of our players are taking free trips to Aruba and Curacao on a regular basis, and I encourage you to go there. It's a great place. It's
the starting lineup doing a show on location from
great
Aruba.
Minds think alike.
Yes.
I think next week we should be based in Curacao for the starting lineup.
Tell us where else we're broadcasting from.
Yeah, there you go. They may be destined for the SEC convention this week, but you guys would probably have a better time in Aruba and Curacao. So you're more than welcome to go down. I'd highly encourage it.
We probably would. Go ahead.
Well, it's fantastic what's been accomplished and this really kind of growing gaming powerhouse that PCI has forged now, and I know you've been right in the center of it. Talk about the Birmingham acquisition. What was the driving force behind the idea that we want to acquire the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, and just talk a little bit about that process. And I know Tony has a lot of questions for you about what the ultimate plan for the facility is, but just talk about why Birmingham was important to add to this growing empire.
Sure. Birmingham's always been an important market for us, especially at our Wetumpka property. We have a large customer base from Birmingham, and and we've been working with the McGregor family for a number of years, and they've done a great job to getting it to this point, and we came together and said maybe it's best that we work together, and part of that working together was the purchase of the property, and try to work together to make it better for Alabama and make it better for Birmingham. So this has been in the works for a number of years. It just didn't come out of nowhere, but we've developed a good relationship with the family, and we thought this was the best course of action to try to help expand gaming in Alabama. So that was our original goal, and now we took over the operation, and we're trying to take the baton from the McGregor family and try to finish the relay race and get that property is something we think can be very special and potentially be better, a bigger and better facility than the 3 facilities we have in Alabama today. So that's the goal and the objective, but we're making changes as we speak. So.
All right. Very, very happy to have Brent Pinstone on. Of course, Greg, Brent is huge with, of course, the gaming of the Poarch Creek Indians, and of course he's the COO of that organization, and he does just a wonderful work, and we're very so happy to have you here in the Birmingham area. I did want to ask you, though, gaming obviously has changed a lot just over the last few years with, of course, all these fantasy, FanDuel, and with DraftKings, and with underdogs and all these other things, and in most states where it's legal. How has that affected the Poarch Creek Indians and their gaming here in the state of Alabama, where as of right now we don't have that type of gaming?
We really haven't seen much. It's really kind of a different customer base when you talk about fantasy and those types of endeavors. I have relationships with FanDuels of the world, DraftKings. I speak to them on a regular basis, not for Alabama, but we're in Illinois, we're in Miami, we're in Pennsylvania. So we have sportsbook in four of our facilities. So, it really hasn't impacted us in that terms, but, we always look to work with them, and, we've had a number of relationships with several of those companies you've discussed. So, and when we talk about, expansion of gaming, those are conversations that we have with those groups as well, because, they would like to be in Alabama as well, because as everyone knows, everybody would love to bet on a Alabama or Auburn game or an Iron Bowl game. So, it gets a lot of attention nationally and locally. So hopefully someday, that will come to fruition, and they're just another piece of that cog in the wheel that, we all have to try to be on the same page and work together rather than work against each other. Because if you don't, nothing's ever going to happen.
Yeah, Brent, for sure, the Birmingham Racecourse Casino it's an institution, man. I mean, it's just been unbelievable. It's been there for years and years and years, and everything from horse racing to greyhound racing to, of course, the gaming you have right now. It is just a mecca and a beautiful facility. So for people that go out there now, they're obviously going to be seeing some changes with the acquisition of PCI. But what exactly are you going to do with that property, and what are some of the expansions you're going to be doing with the Birmingham Racecourse?
We're currently in the building. Our plans is to build a new building. That will be determined by, what happens in the future with, the legislature. But, today we're adding new games. We're putting in our systems. When I walk in there, I don't know if I stick out like a sore thumb or not, but when I walk in there, people know I'm from Wind Creek and PCI, and the customers are asking, what are we doing? When are you going to get to be like Wetumpka or Montgomery? So, the physical structure may not be there for a little while, but we're trying to get it to the experience, at least from a gaming perspective, with our systems and our games, to enhance it and give it something so, people have the option to go to Birmingham rather than drive, an hour and a half to Wetumpka. So, we're working on food and beverage. We're working on relocating the simulcast to make it all cohesive in one. because it's a gigantic facility. Obviously, I mean, if you haven't been in there, it's 5 floors and it's just massive. It's a massive footprint, not just the building itself, but the entire parcel is just massive. So with that much space, there's a lot of opportunities. So we're trying to enhance the gaming experience, trying to enhance the food and beverage experience. And a lot of it is to train our staff and get ready for when that day comes when we can turn that into what we hope is a Wind Creek.
There you go. I know I got a bunch of my friends out there watching the show right now, and they want to see Guns N' Roses back.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Racecourse Casino. I don't think that's going to happen. We got a couple minutes left, though, man.
Brent, I think I get the question a lot because people have, of course, been to Wetumpka, and they've been to your fabulous Wind Creek facility, which driving on the expressway and going by it, you feel like you're on the Vegas Strip. I mean, it's a fantastic property. And people are asking, is it in their plans to eventually develop this thing full scale? And I think the possibilities are endless. It just depends on how effective that they and our industry can be in the next couple of years in terms of getting some legislative opportunity, getting the constitutional amendments that are necessary on the ballot, and let the Alabamans decide. But it's kind of frustrating from the standpoint that the latest polling of Alabama citizens, almost 70% are in favor of expanded gaming.
Yep.
They can see what's going on, that all this revenue is going across to all of our neighboring states. And just speak to a minute, I hope I'm giving them the right answer, that anything's possible here. But, again, we've got to come up with a more effective legislative strategy, because some of the folks holding out, it just seems like they run out the clock every session when the people in the state are overwhelmingly favorable for this expansion to take place.
Yeah, that's a great point. We would love to build a Wind Creek facility there. I mean, our facilities, when it's called a Wind Creek, that means world class in my view. And that is our goal, and that's what we would love to do. I mean, Birmingham, I believe it's still the largest city in Alabama, and it deserves to have our biggest facility. And we have the land to do it. We think there's a piece of that parcel that would look great where we would put that facility, and we think it should be a jewel of the state. And not only would it be a jewel of the state for us, but it means jobs. With the space we have now, we're limited on the number of people we have because we just don't have the amenities to create more jobs. And when we get a building like a Wind Creek, you could see that staffing level from the current staff to what it would be as a Wind Creek probably go tenfold. So there could be 10 times more jobs that we could provide. And let's not forget the tax revenues that would go to the state, which is, very important as well.
There's no doubt. Hey, Brent, thank you so much for your time, man. We greatly appreciate you. We look forward to having you on multiple times throughout this wonderful year here in the starting lineup on ABC 3340. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys can do a remote at the facility sometime.
Yeah, we talked about that, and so folks are going to have a chance to come out and actually be on the starting lineup right from the casino floor. So we're really looking forward to developing that plan.
And Aruba.
Oh, Aruba, yeah. Let's not forget Aruba.
You go to Aruba, I'll buy your sunblock.
Yeah, and my official capacity, I think I'm duty bound to make a couple site visits in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Brent, thank you.
Good seeing you guys. Thank you.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where a spin could turn dreams into reality. Meet Sammy F., who just won over $70,000. And Orlando P., hitting the jackpot with a whopping $100,000. Feel the thrill of winning and join the dance of champions.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Your chance to be the next big winner is here at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Oh, welcome to the Legend Cave. I am the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I am standing here with two of the greatest men ever in sports history in Birmingham, Tony Curry and Kip Keefer. And I gotta let you gentlemen get in on this action about this SEC meeting this week down in Florida. Kirby Smart crying, Lane Kiffin crying. Kip, let's start with you about Lane Kiffin. Why is Lane Kiffin crying down in Florida this week, Kipper?
Paul was trying to tell Lane how much he likes him and supports him, and Lane goes, yeah, every time you go start promoting me for a job, I lose the next game. So stop doing that.
Listen here, Lane. Ole Miss, you garbage. You lucky to win 9-10 wins. They're not worried about a national championship. But what about Kirby Smart crying, Tony? What's going on with Georgia?
Having been a guy that's actually played golf with Kirby Smart during the SEC media days, just you shut up, put some more sunscreen on, and enjoy your free vacation. That's what he needs to do.
That's why we love Tony Curry. He brings it. He tells it, just like the Keefer. Keefer, what about the board down there talking about making excuses for losing to Vandy in Oklahoma last year? Alabama fans up in arms talking about, what is this guy talking about? What is he talking about, Kipper?
I think somebody needs to acquaint Coach DeBoer of who he's coaching now. He's not at, Podunk State up in North Dakota or anything. He's the coach of the University of Alabama. But it's still better than Hugh Freeze, who says, well, we really need to make a bowl game this year. Gee, Hugh, set the bar high, why don't you?
Listen here, Coach DeBoer. We ain't putting up with anything less than the playoffs this year. You heard the Kipper. Auburn might just win a bowl game, but at Alabama, you better make the playoffs. Do they do it, Tony?
It's amazing when you got 12 teams getting in, they don't make it. When you got 4, Bama makes it every single time. And this is the first time in 11 years that the over-under for wins for Alabama has been below double digits. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, what is it, 9.5?
9.5.
9.5. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, 84 days the college football kicks off right here every Saturday morning on ABC 3340 with the Golden Boys, Tony Curry and Keefer. We're going to be bringing it like nobody else in the nation. ESPN can't compete. Nobody can compete with us. We bring it 100. That's the way it is. Remember, it's just a game. Don't be like the Golden Boys of sports. Sports insane.
So, great sponsor, Sasquatch Toys and Comics, man. This place in Citation Lane over in Homewood, I went there for the first time last week. Place is unbelievable. The legend got himself an Evel Knievel toy. If you're looking for those vibrating football games, anything in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they get over 300,000 comics. It's unbelievable. You walk in the building and you just keep going and going and going. Check out Sasquatch Toys and Comics right there in Homewood on Citation Lane. It's fantastic. The Woodhouse Day Spa, my good friend Stuart Rome just got back from Bermuda. He was down there on vacation.
Man,
he deserves it.
The life, doesn't
we just had a Mother's Day, which is huge at the Woodhouse Day Spa, and of course Father's Day coming up in June. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com, Birmingham.woodhousespas.com, and then K4 Wins doing pretty well too, man.
K4wins.com. If you are a sports investor and you are not on K4wins.com, you are making a big mistake because, you know, parting with those Benjamins every week is painful, but keeping them and getting a double the size is the ultimate thrill of playing in sports. And we give you that kind of information every week, every day. And our hit rate is about 68% against the spread currently. It's the best information you can get from the best team of experts that's ever been assembled. So check it out, K4wins.com, and on the TKR network.
Yes.
You can listen to our weekly podcast, which is all kinds of great information. We just put one in the can a couple of days ago. And so look for that too. K4wins.com and the K4 Wins podcast on TKR.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters. I'm a longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer, along with sports editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. Now, in recent weeks, I feel like I've really been sticking to one event, one thing on these segments, and it's mostly served us well. I kind of buried the lead. We should have a celebration for last week. Hit an Indianapolis 500 outright. Alex Palou coming through for us. Unfortunately, only hit an outright on one of the 3 races. We were in such great position. If you watch NASCAR, William Byron led like 300 laps or something in the Coca-Cola 600. Looked like he was far and away the best car. Was even a minus 300 favorite going into the last lap, where it looked like he was going to pass Ross Chastain, but Chastain had passed him based on some crazy things, some wrecks, some cautions. I always tell people, you complain about like basketball and football bad beats. It's nothing compared to if you bet NASCAR and are sweating and outright at the end. So that one hurt, but undeterred, we have to move on. And I want to get back to kind of the grab bag element. It's my favorite thing to talk about. I just go a little bit of everything. If you read my weekend wagers column on LasVegasSun.com, up tens of thousands of dollars since its launch 5 years ago. It was really built on covering as many sports as possible. So let's get back to doing that on the show. But I'm going to start in auto racing, where we have to get past Charlotte, on to Nashville Super Speedway, which isn't really a super speedway. That name bugs me, but I digress. I have actually bet 3 drivers here, all pretty chalky, all pretty low. I just think the odds are a little wrong here. Chevrolet has dominated intermediate tracks so far this year, so it makes sense a lot of those guys are lower, but Toyota's really been the dominant manufacturer here in Nashville since it got back into the rotation with its repave in the next-gen era car. So I've got 2 Toyota drivers, starting with, if you watch the show, you probably have an idea who one of them is. The longest guy I bet, Tyler Reddick. We were on him last week as well. 12-1. Doesn't have the best results of the Toyotas, and has kind of always seen secondary as 23XI Racing as opposed to Joe Gibbs Racing. But I think he's so close. I think he is just on the verge of breaking through. Maybe it's this week at Nashville where he has been very fast. So 12-1, Tyler Reddick. The other Toyota I'm going with is the lowest price driver I bet, Christopher Bell. I think currently the 3rd choice at plus 650. You just rewind the clock a little bit and he would have probably been the co-favorite or a 2nd choice behind Kyle Larson after he won those 3 races at the beginning of the year to start, which we talked about here on the show. I think he's really kind of rounding back into form again. He was the fastest car here last year, but got in some trouble, didn't even finish, had a terrible finish. I think because of that, we are getting a better price than we need to. And here, Christopher Bell, I also fired on him on a future this year. I've been waiting all season for him to get 5-1. If he makes the championship 4 at Phoenix, a track that he just dominates, he is winning. So you can find that 5-1 on him. I like Christopher Bell both long-term and short-term. The 3rd driver I bet, also not Chevrolet, but not a Toyota this time, Ford. I bet Ryan Blaney plus 850. Kind of the same thinking as Christopher Bell. So hot, so fast to begin the year. Has kind of slowed down, but he's been good at Nashville. I think you buy the dip a little bit with him. So Blaney, Reddick, Bell as far as NASCAR. Next, why don't we transition to a sport I don't think I've talked about for like a year on here, but so far this year I'm off to a red hot start. Of course, now I'm probably jinxing it, being a little superstitious, but that is the UFC based here in Las Vegas, mixed martial arts. I think it's been my 2nd highest ROI so far on the year behind golf. Rare off week last week, but we're back in action at the Apex. Now, part of the reason why I'm having such a big year is we've kind of seen the underdog strike back. Last year was like the chalkiest in the history of the sport. It was just favorite after favorite. Everyone scratching their head, kind of having an existential crisis. I'm betting mostly underdogs too, so it was tough. This year it's been all underdogs, but I got to flip that on its head today. I really like a lot of the favorites on this card, including all 3 at the top in the headlining bouts. That includes Aaron Blanchfield, who I think stylistically will be too much for Macy Barber, can easily out-wrestle her. In the co-main event, Matus Gamrot, I just think is more tested. Also can use that control kind of against Ludovic Klein, who's a hot knockout artist, so I like Gamrot as well. And then in the other fight, Dustin Jacoby taking on Bruno Lopez. Jacoby's older. I usually don't like taking the older fighter. He's getting up there, but he's just such a more seasoned kickboxer. I think Lopez will have his chin out there. So I like all 3 of those favorites. Another favorite I like on the card, Jordan Levitt. I know UFC is such a popular parlaying sport. If you talk to bookmakers out here, they're just inundated with parlays. If that's what you do with this information as you will. It's not what I did. I bet them all straight. I think you bet them all straight, you probably hit 3 or 4. If you just want to take the top 3, 2 or 3, you turn a profit. But maybe even if you want to parlay, I do like a lot of favorites in the UFC tonight. Finally, golf. Finally one I can wrap up with here where I'm not super chalky this week. Maybe it gets my better judgment trying to beat Scotty Scheffler. Now I know I was on him like plus 250 a couple weeks ago in Texas, and he came through for me. But he's going from Texas to Jack's Place Memorial in Dublin, Ohio, where the top 24 of the top 25 OWGR, which contentiously doesn't include LIV, but we don't need to get into all that or there. This is just a really tough field, so I can't quite go plus 250. A lot of the usual suspects for me that I'm backing trying to beat Scotty this week: Colin Morikawa, Tommy Fleetwood, Patrick Cantlay, also longer shots on Daniel Berger and Sepp Straka. I know we're a couple rounds in now, but hopefully you can take that information and win with it. Thanks for checking out this grab bag edition of the Vegas Heaters once again.
Want to give a big old hello to Cricket Carts. A good friend of mine owns that organization, and perhaps we have new business coming here on the starting lineup in the next few weeks. So I just wanted to throw a bone out to Cricket Carts here on the starting lineup. You know, we were talking about K4 wins a few minutes ago. Guys know what I'm talking about out there. We all have our stash. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
My dad had his cash in the back of the freezer behind like some 3-year-old lamb, and he would put it in Reynolds wrap because my mom used Reynolds wrap for everything, and so he would wrap his $100 bills, and he'd have anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 in it. Sometimes it'd come from gambling, sometimes it was Las Vegas money, sometimes something would happen down at the Ford plant, and he was pitching quarters or whatever, but he put all his money in the freezer. Mine's in my underwear drawer. I want to know where you hold your stash because we're going to fill that envelope full of cash through K4 Wins before football season, which is less than 100 days away.
Yeah, it's a sad time. I was Bill Keefer's son, who always had a big wad. I miss those days. It used to be in my pocket, Tony, but now in this day of all this automated stuff and direct deposits and all that, I never get to go to the bank. So, I'm shocked my longtime friends when they expect me to pull out this big wad of hundreds, and I've got like $27. So times change, but I don't have much of a stash these days unless it's in the bank.
I'm telling you, I always feel better when I have cash in my pocket.
Oh, absolutely.
I stop at the ATM, get me $200 or $300 a week, and just to know that I've got that I don't have to worry about the plastic. You don't know if someone's going to be defrauding you or taking your information stuff, but it's always great to have cash. And hopefully we'll be building a lot of cash for you just in time for college football season. Real quick, we were talking earlier in the show about the SEC possibly leaving the NCAA or maybe some type of separation in about 30 seconds or less. Is that a good idea or not?
I think it's a good idea. The NCAA is an absolute useless organization now. What do they provide? They're investigating Michigan's, misdeeds a couple of years ago. I guess in about 10 years we can look forward to that being resolved. This is an organization that its time has passed, and there's a lot of people that are pointing the finger as these schools get ready to be clobbered with this decision and have to pay out an additional $20 or $25 million to athletes that participated in these last
over the last 10 years, by the way.
Yeah. So there's a lot of resentment that the NCAA is who got them into this predicament. And there's a lot of people say, what do they provide for us at this point?
You will agree we need some type of oversight, correct, though? We need some type of organization that overlooks college football, because right now it looks like it's the SEC and everyone else.
Yeah, the conferences need to police their own business and work together to create a new infrastructure. Maybe it's a commissioner. There's been a lot of talk about that. But the NCAA, you've seen the big hotels get dynamited and fall to the ground. Yep. The headquarters in Indianapolis need to suffer that same fate. And we'll even let the executives leave first.
There you go. Yep.
But right now, they've got a former governor of Massachusetts in charge of the NCAA. He doesn't have any sports background. He doesn't bring anything to the table except to go to Washington and beg for some relief from Congress. And that's not going to happen, folks. Congress has got bigger fish to fry, and a lot more sources of revenue, so it's not going to happen.
Next week, Belmont Week, baby. It is Belmont Week. We're going to be running with the horses, so we'll look forward to doing it right here on the starting lineup, 10:30, 11 o'clock every Saturday morning on ABC 3340. God bless.
It's the starting lineup. Kip Keefer, Tony Curry, the legend, and Case Keefer bring it every week.
The coaches don't like what's going on.
Fellas, wow. Congratulations.
Weather is of universal appeal. It affects you and everybody watching.
Because you're real, legend. You're authentic. You've lived it.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.